Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage, and we have a lot to talk about. We have some first impressions, we also have some upcoming projects, we have I guess we're going to say dumb or ignorant comment of the week, and I guess we can talk about some other ancillary things that I want to bring up throughout the video. So, let's start off with the first impressions. And I was able to go to the range last night, and I planned on shooting 2 firearms. And I only got through 1. And it's because it was so cold. One of the things that I've been having issues with, in fact, I need to contact my range, which is the Frisco Gun Club, is the VIP lanes are open to us with a biometric access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I can go on Christmas, New Year's, middle of the night, whatever. And typically that's when I go because there's no one else there. I'll go at like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. And normally I have the range to myself, which allows me to shoot without having a bunch of people talking, making noise. If I'm shooting suppressed, I don't have to worry about, unsuppressed gunfire. I can also go out on the range and take pictures of especially the rifles, and get better thumbnails. Which, by the way, I guess before I go on, in fact, this is going to be kind of what my ignorant comment of the week is going to be about. I always neglect to give the caveats because I know that some people are new to this channel. Maybe they are just looking at the title. They're looking at the name of the gun in the title. This is not a channel that I post reviews of, okay? So when I talk about my first impressions of this gun, it is not a formal review. This is the Texas Gun Vault 2. It is my behind-the-scenes channel. This is not a channel that I expect to grow, get big, or have a bunch of people care about, okay? This is just something I do for my biggest, quote-unquote, fans, okay? Number 2, I guess the second caveat I'm going to have to start adding is kind of what I just alluded to. This is not a channel that is supposed to be made with brevity. This is not supposed to be some type of thing where I make shorts. This is not a thing where I get to the point quickly. This is more of a vlogging channel where I sit here and I might talk about my friends who lend guns to the channel. I might talk about completely unrelated things to firearms. And if you don't want to be here for that, that is perfectly fine with me. I could care less. I am not trying to become famous, big, or make any money on this channel, okay? This is just me having fun, talking to the people that want to follow my channel. And apparently there's some people that cannot figure that out, okay? And they leave some pretty ignorant, mean, and stupid comments on this channel. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I want to get that caveat out there because apparently, as I said, some people can't figure that out. I assume, wrongfully, that people can look at the name of this channel, look at the description, see what this channel is about, hear me talk about it, obviously see the format, and pick up pretty quick what this channel is, okay? And the focus of the channel, the audience of this channel. But I guess I am completely dumbfounded sometimes by people's inability to understand that, okay? So there's the caveats, okay? So this is not an official review, none of that. All right, so let's talk about this gun right here. And, oh yeah, getting back to my thing about the range, I went to the range and it was cold. It's been cold here the past few nights, like really cold. Well, cold for North Texas. Like tonight it's getting down to like 20 degrees. And it's cold. And it's cold here in the garage. I got 3 heaters on here around my feet to just keep this place kind of warm. But at the range, even though it's indoor, they have a problem with their air system. Like in the summertime, it's way too hot. And in the wintertime, it's way too cold. In fact, it was colder last night in the range than it was outside. And that's a problem. And I know a bunch of the VIPs, and we pay a lot of money to have this privilege to have this 24-hour access. And we had to pay a lot of money up front. And we're getting a little bit tired of not having it climate controlled because it is uncomfortable. So I don't know if it's broken. I don't know if they just don't turn on the heaters. I don't know if they even have heaters. But it was so cold last night that I went to shoot this thing, and I'm literally shivering, okay? And of course, I don't want to be there in a big, heavy jacket. So I take the jacket off, and I think I have like a sweater or something on. And but you can still kind of see my breath a little bit. But I'm sitting there kind of shivering. So it was so cold that I got through half this review, realized I'm going to have to go home. I didn't shoot the other one. But hopefully I'll get to that sometime soon. But the gun that I was able to complete the shooting footage with, and actually I filmed the proper range report today, is this. The Rock Island Armory 1911 BBR 380. I think that's kind of technically the name. A lot of people call this the Baby Rock. And this is a 1911 that is scaled down for 380. And my first impressions of it, I think, are a little bit different than many other reviewers. And sometimes I don't know the type of prep people do to their guns or what they tell the truth about, okay? One of the things that I feel that people will criticize me on when it comes to my reviews is if I shoot a gun poorly, they just say, oh, I'm bad, right? What they don't realize is that through the magic of editing and filming, I can make myself look like Jerry Miculek, okay? I know for a fact, 100%, okay, that other content creators will film multiple segments until they get it right, or they don't make a mistake, or sometimes if they do show their target, which, by the way, not every YouTube channel shows their targets. I'm not going to call anybody out. I'm not saying, oh, they're a bad shot. But I'm sure you guys probably know. And there's other channels that are kind of focused, like my channel, that care more about like the history of guns, the designs of guns. They go out and they shoot the guns, but you never get to see their targets. And I'm not saying they're bad shooters. I'm just saying that it's something that's overlooked. I always show my honest results. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. But whenever they're bad, people will criticize me, not the gun, and not take into consideration, wait, you shot this 2011 like a tack driver, and the very next one, it was like a shotgun pattern. Well, what changed? Well, I'm the same shooter, trying to make myself look good, but I document my honest experiences. And not every reviewer does that because they don't want to be made fun of. They don't want anybody to think that they're less than what they actually are. And this is one of the guns that I did not shoot very well. In fact, my groups were very low and very sporadic. I really did my best to shoot this gun well. I think there is an accuracy problem with this gun, but it could be two things. I think it's either the barrel, because even when I bench rested this thing, the group was okay. It shoots extremely low. But I think it has a lot to do with the grip and the size. So here are my complaints about this gun, besides the accuracy. It's a scaled down 1911, and kind of for scale, here is a Colt Commander, so we can kind of see the size difference. I'm trying to put them at the same distance from the camera so you can see how it's scaled down. The distance, and then the length of pull from the front of the trigger face to the back of the grip safety here is very small. So I have relatively large hands, not gigantic hands, but I would say medium large to large, okay? And the grip size of a 1911 and 45 is about perfect for me. I get my webbing of my thumb onto the grip safety firmly and securely. I feel like I can ride the grip pretty high up to the beaver tail, and it's the perfect length, especially with this longer or medium long trigger, that I can get the pad of my finger on that trigger face. It's just a very ergonomic gun. It fits my hand. Might be a little bit on the small side, but I can make it work. I can get to all the controls with no problem. When you scale it down, the length of pull from the front of the trigger face here to the back of the grip safety is very small. And so with a larger hand, if I put the webbing of my thumb up here by the beaver tail to make sure that the grip safety is depressed, because if it's not, by the way, I know people go, you gotta safety check the gun. If I don't depress that enough and I try to put the pad of my index finger on the trigger, the hammer's not going to drop. And look at that. I mean, my grip is on that gun and it's not going. I have to really push that grip safety in for that hammer to drop. The problem is when I do that, I'm now like compressing my hand into like this, which is causing me generally to put way too much finger through the trigger guard. It's really the only way for me to depress the grip safety and get my trigger, my finger into the trigger guard. It's the only way I can do it. So I have to either shoot it this way, which is completely wrong, or if I move my pad back to be right on the trigger face, I have to like contort my hand to get that grip safety depressed. I mentioned in the range report that many 1911 makers fix this by adding this little hump to the grip safety. It gives you a little bit more distance so you don't have to have like that death grip on the back of the 1911 to have that grip safety depressed. And Rock Island Armory needs to do that. They need to do that. And they also need to reduce the spring tension weight on this grip safety. It does take a lot of pressure. That leaf spring in there is very, very stout. So it was an uncomfortable gun to shoot because it's a direct blowback gun. They took everything from the full size, the functionality, the way that the trigger works, the way the safety works, shrunk it down, but decided not to put in any barrel like lugs. So it's direct blowback. And 380 doesn't need to be that, but when I have a gun like the Colt Government 380, which is kind of 1911-ish, it's not the same. This has a locking system, and this is a very comfortable gun to shoot. It just mitigates the recoil a little bit better. So I think a lot of people are going to turn to this gun and say, hey, it's like a 1911, which I love. It's smaller, and it shoots a smaller caliber. Therefore, it must be easier and lighter to shoot, and that is not the experience that I had. It's snappy, and because it's so thin, thinner than a typical 1911, and I have to contort my hand, the snappy recoil comes back into a more narrow slit in my palm. I kind of found it to be uncomfortable to shoot. So it was a 2.5 out of 5-star review, and it was reliable though. The gun is reliable, and it's decent accuracy at 7 yards and less if you're going to use it for like deep concealment or as a backup gun. So it works. It was not accurate and not very much fun to shoot. But I'm happy with its build. I'm happy with its features. And I think it's a cool design that if you could change a few things up. Oh yeah, the trigger pull in this is also really heavy, about 8 pounds. I would like to see it around 5 to 6. But it says on Rock Island's website that the trigger is supposed to be between 7 and 9 pounds. So it's right where it's supposed to be according to their specs. It's too heavy, though, in my personal opinion. So that was my first impressions with the Baby Rock, the 1911 BBR 380. So that was that. Okay, so let's get all that out of the way. Get these guns out of the way. Okay, so now it's time for the Kel-Tec party, the upcoming projects. Now, I told you guys I was going to go see my friend Jack number 1, because I put the call out. I said, guys, I need some cheaper, more affordable guns. And I had mentioned that I will review anything, okay? And I want every gun to succeed, and I need something. And Jack's like, well, I got some Kel-Tecs. I didn't think you were interested in them. I'm like, oh my gosh, you've been holding back on me because I will review anything. Actually, a couple of these I think I already have reviewed, but I think they are going to be worth a range report revisit because they're way older reviews, and I think I'm better now in creating content than I was then. So I think they are going to get a revisit. He also gave me a little bit of ammo for these because these are in the not as common calibers. So let's start with the smallest first. Here we go. We got the Kel-Tec. Oh boy, I cannot read that. It's 32 auto. This is the P32. Here it is, the P32. Really interesting about this one is that it has a belt clip on the side, I guess for a pocket clip on the side of this gun. Obviously, this is a pocket carry gun designed for deep concealment. And it's tiny. It's real tiny. Single stack. Yeah. Well, there's not really a lot of parts on this to fall off. I know some people love Kel-Tecs, but I always like to quote the Yankee Marshal. Kel-Tecs don't need a break-in period. They just break, period. And the one thing I will always give Kel-Tec credit for is their innovation. They make very innovative guns in interesting calibers with innovative features. Their execution of that is terrible. And just holding this, I'm like, this thing is like maybe one step above a Jennings 25 Saturday Night Special. In my personal opinion, does that mean it's not going to work? No. Does that mean you made a poor choice? If you love this gun, carry this gun? No, it does not mean that. I just feel that people need to be realistic in their choices. So, for example, when you buy certain things, you have to know where you stand in the world with that thing, okay? And you can't have the best of everything. And there's no shame in liking something cheap, okay? There's no shame in that at all. There are some things that are cheap, affordable, mass-produced that I absolutely love, and I know everyone else loves the more expensive stuff, okay? It just depends on your priority and your personal tastes. As I said, the Kel-Tec lovers are going to say, you hate Kel-Tec. I don't hate Kel-Tec. I'm just telling you my experiences with them, but also I think people have to be realistic that this Kel-Tec P32 is not going to be the same as a Atlas Gun Works 2011, okay? And you just have to accept that. So this is going to be the first one. Now, when I review this, unfortunately, Jack was only able to find one magazine, okay? So I'm going to have to forego like the quick mag change test, but I will have to come up with a series of tests that, I don't know, maybe I'll try to do like a pull from the pocket test kind of thing. I don't know. We'll have to see, because that's what this gun is designed to be. But I only got one magazine with this thing, no box, no papers. So we'll just have to see how it shoots. And I think some people will like that. All right, next up, we have the PF9. Okay, so this is chambered in 9mm. Okay, it looks like we got a little bit of a kind of a Hogue kind of grip here on this. I may ask Jack if I can take this off so I can review the gun with the standard grip. I'm sure he'll say yes. I can just put it back on there. Interesting firearm. We do have a tilting barrel. Look at that recoil spring guide rod, man. That thing like sticks way up in the air when it's compressed. But like the P32, it just kind of feels a little cheap to me. This one, no box, no papers, anything like that. One magazine, but it's a deep concealment gun. So we'll see. So, okay, here's another thing too. Okay, I'm just going to kind of say that one thing on pistols that I do not want to see, with the exception of holding on grips, is screws. Guns like John Moses Browning's masterpiece, the 1911, is not held together by any screws. The only screws you will ever see are for the grips, okay? But taking off the grips will not cause the gun to malfunction or for the gun to fall apart. But the gun is held together using pins, okay? So the way it works, it's quality. Most guns are like that, or they don't have pins, okay? I'm sorry, or they don't have screws like Glocks don't have screws in them. Everything's held together by springs and levers. Take a look at this extractor. Here it is. And it's held in by a screw. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about that just screams cheap to me, okay? Does that mean the gun's not going to function? No, it does not mean that, okay? It just means that, I don't know, I just kind of feel like Kel-Tec takes, or they just cut corners, where they don't have to do that. They're so innovative, they could redesign the gun, make it a little bit higher quality, sell it for a little bit more, and I think have a better reputation. But we'll see. We're going to take this one to the range as well. This mag button here is like really flush with the gun. But that's it. I think this one is double action only. Let's see here. No, I guess it is double action, single action. One of these I thought was double action only, but we'll have to see. But the Kel-Tec PF9. All right. Next up, we have not a Kel-Tec, but we have the Ruger LCP, and I'm going to have to double check on this one. I don't know if I reviewed this one. I think I've reviewed an LCP, but this one I think is in... This might be the one I reviewed. I don't remember. I think this was also in 380. Okay, so this one is in 380. So my gut says I've reviewed this one. My gut says I could be wrong, but this might be one of those that I need to do a range report revisit on. But this one is very similar in design to the Kel-Tec. But as you can see, Ruger, a much more, in my opinion, reputable company, has an extractor that is not held in by a screw. It is held in correctly by a roll pin, and it just feels better. The polymer feels better. The metal on the slide feels better. I don't know. It's pretty much the same gun, just better. Okay, so normally when a Ruger steals somebody else's design, in my opinion, they make it cheaper. This goes in the opposite direction. They took Kel-Tec's design and made it better. So if I've done this one in the past, it's getting a range report revisit, but I'm going to use it to also talk about and compare it to some of the other Kel-Tecs that they stole the design from. And on this one, we don't have a slide hold open, and I think this one is, nope, well, yeah, it's double action only. So there you go. So we'll be doing the Ruger LCP. But as I said, just holding this, looking at it, man, it blows the Kel-Tec out of the water. Don't know how it's going to shoot yet, but you go, that's what Kel-Tec should be making, okay? But of course, when it comes to the tiers, maybe I should do one of those tier videos. Look at companies and put it on the the S tier, the A, B, C, D, and F tier. And kind of rate them and what I think they are. Because Ruger, I'm going to put as a C tier company. Kel-Tec is a D tier company. So, but I don't know. Everyone's like, oh my God, Ruger's a C tier. I'm sorry, they're not. I mean, they're not better. They make good quality guns that are going to work. They have great customer service, but with the exception of a couple of designs, I don't go, wow, Ruger. I don't really care. Okay, I'm sorry. I know there's some Ruger fans out there. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be fair to that gun in a review. Now, the next two guns, I'm 100% sure I have reviewed, but once again, they do deserve a range report revisit, okay? And these are finicky. Now, these are where I think Kel-Tec is popular because you can get guns in kind of weirder calibers at affordable price points, but they're finicky because of the calibers they're in. This one is, oh boy, is this one in, I can't remember. This one is in 22 Magnum. This is the PMR 30. Yeah, 22 Winchester Rimfire Magnum. And there we go. So I have reviewed this one, and because of the caliber, you have to be kind of careful with how you load it. You can have malfunctions. Now, also, we'll take a look at this gun. We have screws and bolts everywhere. This side has all the screw heads, the nut heads. Here you have all of the, essentially the nuts. So, I don't know. I don't like how this gun is put together. There's the top. I don't know. It just comes across as a little bit cheap. But maybe I do need to revisit this one. And, oh yeah, I remember. This is one of the things I don't like about it is that heel magazine release. Give me a button up here. But anyway, this one compared to the other ones feels like it's a little bit better quality. The polymer's a little bit nicer. But yeah, it's Kel-Tec. No people love it. So we have that one. Range report, revisit it on that bad boy. And I'm definitely going to have to get some 22 Magnum. Jack was super nice and gave the channel some 22 mag as well, but I'm going to need more than this. So we'll have to see if I can get some. And then finally, we have the... Which one is this? I forgot the model name. Is this the CP33, I think is what it is? Man, it doesn't say on the thing. Yes, here it is. The CP33 22 long rifle. So yeah, a 33 round magazine, I think, or 30 rounds, something like that, in this guy. And I always felt it's kind of goofy looking. But once again, we have a gun put together with a bunch of screws, okay? And once again, there's a reason why other high-end companies don't put their guns together with screws. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be bad, but yeah. So anyway, we are going to re-review this, which should be interesting. I think I'm a better reviewer now. And let me see here. Do we have a threaded barrel out here? We sure do. So that might be fun to suppress this bad boy. I think we're going to do that. We're going to suppress this. So we'll have some fun with it. And maybe with a suppressor, I'll have a different opinion about it. So anyway, that is the upcoming projects. All right, let's figure out how to put this thing in the case. That's not the way it was. There we go. Okay. So that is the guns we have in the upcoming project. So these are going to go alongside the other high-end guns you saw. So I'll probably do like one cheap, one expensive. It's kind of an alternating thing. Or maybe I'll just do all the Kel-Tecs at once and just have a couple of weeks where I just have Kel-Tec releases. All right, so that's all the upcoming projects, the first impressions. So now it's time to get to the dumb comment of the week and talk about stuff that I have to deal with all the time. And while I am getting all of this set up, turning on my computer, talk about one of those ancillary things. Let's talk watches real fast, because I know people like to, especially the watch people out there. I wanted to share with you what watch I'm wearing tonight. It's actually one of my favorite from my collection, but it's actually one of the cheapest. And I guess this is kind of going into the philosophy about guns and cheap guns versus expensive guns. And just because you like cheap guns doesn't mean you're wrong. Now, you guys know, in my last video, I talked about one of my Rolexes, the Rolex Milgauss, okay? It's an expensive watch. But what I have on my wrist tonight is actually one of my favorite watches of my collection. I love the way that it looks. It keeps great time. I like its functionality. I have issues with it, like when I pull the crown out, it doesn't have what's called hacking, which means the second hand stops. But I think it's a pretty nice dial on it, and it only costs like $150. It is a Timex M78. It's an automatic diving watch, and I love this thing. And I wear it all the time, and I have it on a NATO strap, like a black NATO strap. It just works. I think it's actually a pretty attractive watch for me, and it's cheap. This is like the Kel-Tec of watches, and I absolutely love it. But I also love my other high-end stuff, the Rolexes, the Omegas, so forth, the Hamiltons. But I love this thing, and it's cheap. So there's no shame in it. And I have no shame in showing this off because it's what I like. You might go, oh, Timex, blah, 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 blah. I could care less. I love it. So if you love Kel-Tec, don't be ashamed of that. Love it. Embrace it. And don't care what I say, or don't care about what I say in my thoughts. I can say, I hate this gun. If you love it, embrace it. Love it. That's awesome. That's what this is about. Okay. Dumb comment of the week. Okay, so let me pull this bad boy up. Oh no. Okay, I just realized I made a mistake. Yeah, I made a mistake. The dumb comment of the week is on my phone. I screenshotted it and I forgot to send it to me. Oh well. Well, maybe we should save it because inevitably I will have more dumb comments. But to give you the gist of it, okay? Somebody said, I am 4 minutes into this video here on the Texas Gun Vault 2, and you haven't talked about the gun. You blather on about your friends. Nobody cares. I'm unsubscribing. This is a waste of time. And then he lists somebody else and talks about how dumb and boring I am. Well, I was just going to say, then you lack the mental aptitude to understand what this channel is about, okay? That if you are only into it for the quick soundbite stuff, I feel sorry for you. That's why with all this stuff going on with the TikTok ban, I actually think is a good thing. Number one, I do have national security issues with a foreign government owning a social media company that can affect culture and gather information. I think is a bad idea for us. But also, I think that social media like TikTok and YouTube's push for shorts and so forth is terrible because it plays to the lowest common denominator. People expect to get all of the information or see something funny or exciting in 10 seconds. And that's not the way that we should really be communicating to each other. In my opinion, we need to have a mix of things. Sure, sometimes it's nice just to lay in bed and look at your phone and look at a Facebook reel and something funny. Totally fine, totally fine. But if your attention span is so short that you can't watch a 10, 15-minute video, then I feel sorry for you. If you're bored and already checking out after 15 seconds, 20 seconds, I feel sorry for you. And you have to realize how much you're missing out in life. While I'm not a huge reader, reading a book takes a while. Understanding something very complex takes a while. Mastering an art takes a while. I'm a music teacher, and sometimes my students will get very frustrated when they can't learn a piece of music quickly. Sometimes just the way the piece is written, the range, the technique involved requires more than what they are currently capable of doing. And I tell them, it's not about the destination, it's the journey. Embrace it. If it takes us 5 lessons to master this piece or more, it doesn't matter, because what's important is that we master the piece. But for so many people, they live in this world where if they can't do it right now, it's not worth doing. And I think that many people miss out on the greater things in life. Because if you can't get what you want right now, accomplish what you want today, then you'll always be chasing something that you can never achieve. When I look at the Texas Gun Vault, you guys know the trials and tribulations of my main channel, where I lost that channel, a couple years ago. Was it 3 years ago now, almost? When YouTube went on their little rage against gun channels, they started saying, attaching a suppressor is gun modification or whatever. And my channel got struck, taken down for doing something innocuous that we're allowed to do now. Okay. And I can't get it back. And I lost 10 years of videos, 10 years of videos. And I had, gotten 42,000 subscribers at that time or whatever. But I restarted the channel, and I wanted to rebuild. And of course, there goes one of my dogs. They always got to get in one of these videos, always. So I'll let them bark. So I'll try to finish this quickly. But anyway, I just feel like people that come here and just want all that information as quickly as they possibly can, they definitely miss out. So anyway, that's my thoughts on things, first impressions, upcoming projects, and my thoughts on other things. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you watch to the end of this video, the word of the day is going to be cheap. Cheap, because we do have some cheap guns here on the table. We have the Kel-Tec, and we also have a cheap Timex watch. But I love the watch. It's honestly one of my favorites. And I will go between wearing a $10,000 Rolex one day to a $150 Timex the next. And I'm happy with both. Just like I hope some people love their Kel-Tecs. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, sorry about my dogs. Thanks for watching.